actually haven't streamed networking in quite a minute, so we're going to continue on from chapter 9. Last thing we went over was spanning tree. I'm going to talk about spanning tree, rapid spanning tree, but I'm not going to go into too much detail with it. With things like this, I focus more on configuration with my stream. I don't really dive too deep into the actual information portion. So this is just stuff you're going to have to read in the book and learn from just basically reading the information from the actual book itself, because it'd just be me telling you exactly what's in the book. So I like to focus mainly on configuration so people can see what it actually looks like when you're doing stuff. So you can see oops, put the wrong kind of switches out here. So you can see what configuration should look like. So we're going to be doing, we're not going to actually configure any span tree because it's configured automatically. But we're going to be configuring ether channels, which is covered a little bit at the end of chapter 9, and then in chapter 10 it actually goes into configuration of ether channels. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to do 3 switch setup, just like we did with the spanning tree. We're going to connect some of these ports up, so we're going to go fast Ethernet here, fast Ethernet here, but we're going to connect 2 ports to each switch. So we're going to have a different setup. So down here we're actually going to do gigabit. So we're going down here, we're going to connect to gigabit on both sides, and then here we're going to connect our fast Ethernet to our fast Ethernet. And the reason we're doing that is because I want to show you what it looks like whenever you're doing spanning tree, because spanning tree is going to automatically pick the gigabit for the root ports. So that way you can see the difference, because gigabit's obviously faster, than fast Ethernet. So first thing we're going to do is go into switch 3. We're going to configure this bad boy up. So we're going to enable, we're going to go config T, and we're going to do line console 0, and we're going to just type in logging synchronous, because we're going to get a lot of messages doing this configuration. So now we're going to go into interface range. So we're going to actually, what port channels do is they combine 2 ports and they act as 1 port. You can combine more than 2 ports, but we're only going to be demonstrating 2 ports. So we're going to be configuring these 2 ports here, Fast Ethernet 1 and Fast Ethernet 2, are going to be acting as 1 port. So interface range FA 01 to 2. So these are both going to be trunks. So we're going to put switch port mode trunk. And you can see we got a bunch of messages saying, alright, it went down, went back up, went down, went back up. And you can see they went back orange. So orange, if you remember, is whenever it's going through its process of blocking, listening, learning, and forwarding. So it's doing a little bit of spanning tree stuff right now as we speak. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that these are both in the same channel group or port channel. So to configure a port channel, you type channel dash, and if we hit question mark, we can see we've got channel group and channel protocol. We're going to do channel group. If you hit question mark again, it tells you what number you want this channel group. Keep in mind that we are on an emulator, so it doesn't actually, or actually this is more of a simulator, it's not emulating anything. There are technical differences in those, but I'm not going to go into that. So this is simulating switches, it's not emulating them, but it's simulating that it's a switch. So some of these configurations might be slightly different from real world. So we're going to do channel group 1, and we're going to type mode, and then if you hit question mark, it tells you, okay, these are all of our options here. So we've got auto, desirable, on. Basically, we're just going to be going with on right now. So it says interface port channel 1 changed to up, and line protocol changed to up. So we've configured this port channel. So if we do a show IP interface brief now, you can see here port channel 1 is now created in our list of ports. So it is currently unassigned because it's a layer 2 port. The status is up and the protocol is up. And if we do a show interface status, I'm pretty sure this is bugged. Yeah, it's going to say not connected, which is not true. I don't know why it does this in Packet Tracer, but it is connected. And you can see here it's all green, so let's just try one more time. Yeah, it still says not connected, although we can see physically it's showing that it is connected. And if we do a show IP interface brief, we can see that it is up and up. So just a little bug in Packet Tracer showing not connect, but this port channel has now been created. So now we're going to do the same thing, but for our gigabit ports. So config T, we're going to go interface range GI 01 to 2. And we're going to do switch port mode trunk. We get a bunch of messages. And then we're going to do channel group again. We're going to put this in channel group 2, so we're creating a separate port channel, so you want to make sure that they're in different channel groups. We're going to put mode on. So channel group 2 has now been created, and if we go all the way back out and do a show IP interface brief, we can see channel 1 and channel 2 are both up. And if we do show interface trunk, we can see that our port channels are our trunks now. So they're on, encapsulating their status, they are currently trunking, and the native VLAN is 1. We didn't do allow VLAN, so it allows every single VLAN, and if you don't specify which VLANs are allowed, it'll automatically put it all on here. But you can see that none of them are in an active and forwarding state because we don't have any VLANs on here yet. And I don't really think we're going to create any VLANs for this. We might create one just to show it. So now we're going to go over to this switch over here. We're going to do the same thing. Enable config T line console 0 logging synchronous, and then we are going to go into our interfaces. So interface range FA01 to 2, switch port mode trunk, so we're turning our ports into trunks. Then we're going to do channel groups. So channel group 1 mode on. So your channel groups have to be unique or have to be matching to whatever other side you're going to be doing. So we're actually going to do channel group 3 because up here this one on this side, this is going to be channel group 1 in this switch. So we have to do channel group 3 over here so it doesn't get confused. So channel group 3 mode on. So we turn that on. And we're going to go back down to GI01 to 2. We're going to do switch port mode trunk, and we're going to do channel group. This one is 2 because the other side is 2, so it's just nice to keep them the same. And we're going to turn this one on. So we've got our 2 port channels should be up. So if we do show IP interface brief, we've got port channel 2 and port channel 3. They're both up. And if we do a show interface status, we're still going to get that not connect. And like I said, this is just something going on wrong with Packet Tracer. So we'll do a show interface trunk, and you can see we've got port channel 2 and port channel 3 in our trunks. Alright, so that's the configuration for this switch. We're going to go over to switch 4, our final switch. And we're going to do, we got a bunch of messages because it's had a lot of stuff going on in between it. So it's saying it's blocking inconsistent port types, things like that. So we're going to fix that. So first thing we're going to do is config T line console 0 logging synchronous, and then we're going to go interface range FA01 to 2 switch port mode trunk, because we're going to turn ports 1 and 2 over here on the left to trunks. Then we're going to do channel group 1 mode on. So we've turned that channel. You can see the port status changed up. It's doing its spanning tree thing right now because this is like a new port came online, so it's acting like it's got to go through its blocking, listening, learning, and forwarding stages. So we're going to be waiting on that. But while we're waiting, we can go ahead and go into our other interfaces. Interface FA03 to 4. We'll do switch port mode trunk on here, and we are going to do channel group. I think this one is 3 mode on. Yeah. So we have all of our ports going up right now. So if we exit, show IP interface brief, we've got port channel 1, port channel 3, they're both up. Show in status, port 1 and port 3, port channel 1 and 3, they're showing not connected again, just a bug. And if we do a show interface trunk, we can now see that we have our trunks up. So with spanning tree, we'll do a show spanning tree. Show spanning tree. Alright, so we've got a root port, port channel 1, which is this is over here because this is going to be our root switch down here, I believe. And an alternate port, so in case In case this trunk goes down, it knows to use this other side. So it's saying that both the costs are 9. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at our other switches and see the difference in them. So switch 5, we'll pull up switch 5 and 4. We'll take a look at the two. So switch 5 is down here bottom right, switch 4 is the top center one. So if we do a show spanning tree, alright, we're going to take a look at our spanning tree stuff here. So priorities, they're both the same. Or if you remember that the lowest priority wins in spanning tree to become the root. But since they're both the same, it looks at the MAC address, and the lowest MAC address wins in this situation. So the root ID is saying that the root is 001 C7 C9 or sorry 9569, basically this MAC address. And if you look down here, it'll tell you what the address is, the MAC address is of your current switch. So this is this switch. So this is not the root, and this is also not the root, because this one is the root. So right here we've got a designated port on port channel 3 up here, so it's sending information, but the other side has it set to where this is a blocking port, so that no information is actually going to be sent here. It's all going to go flowing to the root port. And you can see that it says the interfaces are port channels, not the actual individual interfaces, because these are treated as one individual interface. So it's basically just using as much traffic as possible on these two. So, and the reason we see 9 here at the cost for both, 9 is the cost for fast Ethernet ports, and 3 is the cost for gigabit ports. So that's why we see that. And if we take a look at our final switch, switch 3, if we do a show spanning tree on this one, you can see here that it tells you this is the root bridge. So it doesn't have a cost or a port that tells you where it is on here, because this is the root bridge. And it tells you it has 2 designated ports, one with a cost of 3 and one with a cost of 9. So the cost of 3 is the gigabit port channel, and the cost of 9 is the fast Ethernet port channel. So that's how that looks in spanning tree. So there is rapid spanning tree, which is an advanced version of spanning tree. It's what I would recommend you use. I don't believe. Let's see here. FA0/1. If we take a look, let me type spanning tree. Yeah, it doesn't really show. I'm not sure if these switches are capable of using it, but if we go all the way back out, we've basically got all of our ports connected with port channels. We have our spanning tree working. You can see here it's blocked, and all of our switches are now in forwarding states where they need to be. So switch 5 is forwarding on both. Switch 3 is forwarding on port channel 2 and 1 because it is the root bridge, so it doesn't have root ports, it has designated ports, which are always forwarding. And then finally, switch 4 has a root port and an alternate port because it is blocking one of these ports, so it doesn't create loops in our network. So that is the overall idea of how to configure Ether channels. Pretty quick lesson. Hopefully we get into routing soon, which is more in depth and a lot of fun to actually configure, and you can actually set up VLANs and communicate between other VLANs that you normally wouldn't be able to do. So that's pretty much it for this lesson. Thanks for watching.